Well, after the weekend's rain, sandstorm, there was even hail in some parts. Many residents across the UAE are then wondering, oh, will my insurance cover this? Some motorists were advised to avoid parking in low-lying and waterlogged areas during the rains, as damages to engines in this part of the world are usually not covered by most insurers.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really think that there'll be a lot of rainfall or hail that could damage your car because, what, 11 and a half months out of 12, you don't get rain over here.
At the most.
At the most.
And if you get it, it's 10 minutes.
Literally 10 minutes. And, if during that time your car is outdoors in low-lying areas, then it's a problem. My other worry is that my parking is a basement parking. So is that a low-lying area?
Well, for floods, you got a problem. Insurance firms are said to have started receiving claims from residents a few days after the storms. Many brokerages and firms claim that it could take a few weeks or months to settle the claims depending on the damage. For more details on this, we are joined by Lucie Bertrand, the Regional Manager for Digital and New Business for Personal Insurance at GIG Gulf Insurance. Thank you very much for joining Kitch and Neeil this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on here. When it comes down to cars that have been affected by these storms, do most insurance policies cover your vehicle for these natural incidences?
So I think it's a great way to start. So first of all, we would want to understand what type of insurance do the customers are having. So we do have two types of insurance: third party and comprehensive. So we would start with this differentiation. So with third party, and we know that in those recent times, we tend to be a bit price sensitive, right? So we would potentially think, oh, maybe I would just go for the budget option. And I would select the third party, and actually third party doesn't cover the car. So in that case, then the flood and storms wouldn't be covered. Yeah?
Okay.
If we're looking into comprehensive, so I wouldn't be able to say like it's a blanket approach, either yes, everybody covers, or no, nobody covers. We at GIG Gulf, we do cover storm and flood. So we are pretty conscious about this risk, even though, as you fairly said, it's pretty rare in the region, not like any other part of the world, right?
Oh, tell me about it. Lucie, in Australia, people are always, if they want to get rid of their car, they're putting it out when the hail is on. Hopefully it gets hail damage so it can be called an economic write-off. But when you have these situations, what are some of the ways to claim is the best advice just contact your insurer and try and find out what's covered and what's not?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to start. Like, first of all, when you're looking into buying an insurance, I would always advise, usually we are maybe at the RTA, we just want to get a quick insurance and then not really thinking about what potential risk I would need to be covered for, right? Mm-hmm. But this is the exact key moment where we need to take time to really understand what are the coverages. And if you're already covered, I would always advise you, even reach out to your insurance company and ask, I want more details. Can I have an appointment? Can I discuss more about what am I covered for? So it's completely okay to ask. If we don't remember, it's always better to do it before the storm happens, if I may say.
But tell me something, Lucie. Normally, whenever we go about with our insurances, it's primarily just the time before we go in for our renewals, right? Re-registrations, yes. Renewals, or when you're buying a new car. More often than not, it's more of a standard process to just hit the button, press renew, yes. and go on with it. We don't really think about going in details. And many of us don't even understand what entails, because the language that is written on the policy papers is not something which is very simply understood. So what all should one look at when you're buying a motor policy or a car insurance?
First of all, it really breaks my heart when you say this. Like, Lucie, whatever wording you're using, this is really not something that we understand, and I agree a bit with that. And I think this is really, the insurance companies here in the market are really focusing a lot more on they're offering, their coverages, and trying to make it as simple as possible. So when it comes to really select the best insurance, then we would always know what we're covered for. So this is really efforts that we need to continue to do. But I would say first, take time. Take time to study, take time to question, browse around on the websites. Maybe sometimes you're more comfortable with digital. And then if you need some more help, you can always reach out to the insurance company through the phone, or even going to their branch if this is easier for you.
What are some of the more common claims when it comes down to? Obviously, hail wouldn't be that likely. Is it generally storm damage, flooding of engines? Is it when a car park gets flooded? What tends to be the most claimed problem when it comes to these storm damages?
Yeah, this is definitely floods in the street where you're parked, or even in the basement. This is also quite common. So we would obviously always look at circumstances, right? So we would have unavoidable flood damage, as I would call, and avoidable flood damages. So we would really need to understand if we really took all the possible care to avoid it. So, for example, if you're driving on the street and then there is a water pond, the question would always be, shall I just go or shall I just stop? Shall I just go back? And at that time, we have to all think what my car can actually bear as water. And we would probably compare that the size of the wheels and the chassis of the car, we're looking into a 15 centimeter up the road. So 15 centimeter is looking like a remote control size. So if the water seems like a bit higher than that, like just turn back, because we could potentially think like you purposely actually run into drove into the pond, right? So this, we really need to all be conscious, a bit more aware, and pay attention. And whatever is not avoidable, in that case, we would obviously cover the accident.
I think common sense comes into it. If you're near an area that's been prone to be doing certain floods, or there's gutters, or there's drains, or there's basements, it's a case of using those natural precautions. But obviously, we're not really in the habit of doing that because they don't happen regularly. What about when it comes to the issue of road assistance? When you've got these extreme weather conditions, can road assistance be provided in these times?
Yes, definitely. Our service is 24 hours 7. So it's depending on how accessible is the area, we would definitely be there. We think probably some delays could happen because we would, in those cases, have to help out more people. So we would obviously need to be a bit conscious about the time and be waiting a bit more time. But that's definitely possible, and we would rescue anyone that needs, obviously, to be supported and have the car being towed, for example. Definitely.
Well, I think you've obviously given out I think a breath of fresh air, a sigh of relief for many people that are concerned that in these situations, would their car not be covered? Yes, if you are with GIG Golf, you will be covered. A reminder that GIG Golf is the #1 regional insurance group in the GCC. It's having been offered insurance for over 70 years. Lucie Bertrand, the regional manager for digital and new business for personal insurance at GIG Golf Insurance. We appreciate your time and your insights this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. So has this ever happened to you? Have you ever been affected by storm damage or flood damage? Have you maybe had to claim? It is a bit concerning when, we're used to having the sun destroy our cars when we leave them outside, not usually when it comes down to rain.
Which is true, that is so completely unexpected in this part of the world. But, it also sometimes makes me wonder that while we always worry about the rain damage and everything, keeping your car out in the sun every single day obviously is exposing your car to some sun damage also. So, sometimes maybe next time, whenever we're speaking to some insurance people, let's talk about the paint bit that's gone because of the sun.
Yeah, get the paint excess. 05868610